Alright, what's going on, family? It's your boy 804 here, bringing you some MTG Arena Jumpstart content today. So for those of you who aren't very familiar, Jumpstart is kind of a historic-only event that is pretty exciting. They've added something like, I think, 300 cards to historic, so we certainly should see some pretty heavy changes to the format as a whole. And from what I understand for this event, you can roll certain packs of some kind of pre-selected packs of cards that basically are themed packs, and then you combine the two to create a deck. So, of the first set of packs that I received, I think the first one I grabbed was just called Lands, and I want to say it was either green or white green, but I'm pretty sure it was just green. And then from the second second round of packs, I should say, I rolled Angels. There were a couple other options. To be honest with you, I don't really remember them, but it seems like a very fair Selesnya, a little bit of ramp with lands and Angels, which is kind of why I picked the Angels. I figured they're normally fairly high-costed creatures, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be kind of fun to play with some new cards. To be honest, I haven't actually looked at all the cards. I've looked through this deck that I've pseudo drafted, I guess we'll call it, but I haven't looked through all the cards in the set yet. So definitely in for some surprises. I wouldn't say I'm going in blind. I definitely will look at, I would say, a significant percentage of the spoilers for Jumpstart. So I'm not going in blind, but definitely don't remember most of the 300 cards. So we'll see. But this will be exciting. This will be fun. Something to shake up what is, in my opinion, a fairly stale format, in my opinion. So, not a great hand to start out with, to be honest. Missing green mana. If we can manage to hit a green mana, we're pretty much set up, but just not a great hand. And I guess we get a free mulligan, too, which is pretty sweet. So, here we go. Now we're talking. Much better hand. Curve out here straight into Baneslayer, which would be pretty sweet. And I think we do want to play the Cultivate first here, depending on whether or not our opponent is playing a lot of swamps. Forest isn't going to do it. Going ahead and go with the Angelic Page, another card that I actually haven't played with yet. Interesting. So he has Assault Formation. Right, okay, so this is another Big Butts card. Pretty sweet card, honestly. We do happen to already have Crushing Canopy, so pretty nice RNG there. We also have Edict, so we're pretty well set up here, I would say. And we'll grab ourselves another Plains here. So I believe the first, maybe we just choose both right now. We'll just grab double Plains here just in case. Yes, so this one will go into the battlefield. Get in with our Edict here. And this is a pretty insane start, I would say. Okay, well, that is most certainly going to be a problem. I think this turn what I'm going to do is just pass, holding up. This guy doesn't have reach, does he? Yeah. Yeah, I think the right play here is to just pass and hold up Crushing Canopy as well as Ascension here. Sure. Go ahead and let him get in here. See if this resolves. Okay. So unfortunately the opponent does hold up 3 mana with a blue. It's not great. Don't really want to run Baneslayer out. He also is almost guaranteed to have removal here at this point. I think I like playing the Fertilid here because if I play the Baneslayer Angel into removal, I'd rather get something out of it with an Angelic Ascension, sorry. So opponent has access to every color. We're going to go on ahead and grab a land here so that we'll have Angelic Ascension up here. Don't know that there's really any reason to play out the land. If there's something that requires us to pay like 3 extra mana or something, probably should have swung the land first. Would have been the smarter play. It's okay. So, okay. Well, that's actually not bad at all for us, honestly. We actually have the Edict for the Law Mage's Binding. So we'll free up our Baneslayer here. We can actually do that and hold up Ascension as well. Oh my. Okay, that's actually not all that strong. So we'll go ahead and Edict away the Law Mage's Binding. I don't believe this guy had Reach. And get in there here. We've been pretty lucky here to roll double enchantment removal against, I guess, double enchantment removal, for lack of a better terminology there. What is this guy? That's pretty cool. Okay. So I'm assuming he just bounces the Baneslayer Angel, and then we discard a card. So given the fact that he's tapped out, I'm going to go on ahead and... because I don't really want to discard anything else. We'll take the hit. We're at 23 life. Grab our... oh, it goes to the battlefield. I forgot about that. So that was a misplay. Yeah. It kind of sucks giving up the card advantage there. For some reason I thought Fertilid would put the land into my hand. But we should be okay here. Going ahead. Continue getting in. Play the Baneslayer. Oh, that's a funky death over there. We're not going to play the lands anymore in case he has other discard spells here. This guy is really cool. Dimir Squid. That's pretty sweet. So opponent gets in here with the Titan. I don't think we're really... I mean, we could potentially blow him out with something like Ascension. I'm wondering if maybe he has some like crazy combat trick, but I guess we can do it either way. Sure. So something tells me Baneslayer is not going to stay on the battlefield here much longer. Okay. Pretty cool looking card too. Alright, well with only one untapped mana, and I don't believe his creatures have reach. We're just going to go on ahead and Angelic Ascension, which should give us 9 points of power this next turn in the air. Yep. Alright, so like I said, we got pretty lucky there in terms of drawing 2 cards that can remove enchantments against the opponent that played 2 enchantment removal spells. And we got a Rageblood Shaman. Okay, a little Minotaur Tribal. And we're just playing good old-fashioned fair magic here with the Selesnya creature deck. The opponent was doing some pretty cool stuff with the 4 colors as well as having the toughness damage theme. Do like Oracle, but we get a free mulligan. There's no reason not to, even though we're sending away the Baneslayer there. Okay, keep this. It's not great, but the opponent seems to be running kind of a life game theme here. I really like playing with the Neonate in I forget what set that was actually. It was just a really nice win condition, and I'm pretty sure it was a common actually in that limited format. Don't think there's really any reason to play out the Hydra yet. I do really like the cycle of lands. I think they're pretty neat. So I guess it's just Fertile it here because we don't really have any incentive to play the Enforcer quite yet. Do like the Behemoth. That's a pretty sweet card. Elementals are always just neat. They always have pretty cool art. Spore Mound is awesome too. I really like Spore Mound. Alright, well. The Fertilid bit the dust there. I guess we should probably play some creatures here. I think it's fine to just get onto the board. We're not missing a land drop. Next turn we can cultivate, grab our land, set ourselves up to start dropping five drop creatures. Of course, it does play right into his agonizing Siphon, but I guess we would rather that get siphoned than this guy. Obviously, I don't know what removal spells our opponent has here, but I like the Spore Mound here because this next turn we can play Cultivate, grab a 1/1 as well as get some more lands. We'll see if it survives. The opponent has played quite a lot of removal here so far. He's also gaining quite a lot of life, so I do think we're going to want to start putting some pressure on here shortly. And I think I like holding up the Ascension here in case he has removal for the Spore Mound. Okay. So, I don't really think I want to give our opponent an opportunity to... I don't really want to give our opponent a free 4-4. We'll see here if this is correct or incorrect. It is one of our only removal pieces for an otherwise kind of difficult board to deal with. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as we're kind of just spitting out 1/1s every turn with the landfall trigger, we should for the most part have a decent way to deal with what our opponent is doing. Yeah, I think this is fine. We just double spell this turn. Our opponent could have Wrath of God in his deck for all I know, in their deck. So we might be playing, you know, kind of overcommitting to the board here by quite a lot. But he's also at 27 life. Excuse me, they're also at 27 life, and I don't know what gender they are. Alright, so we got there. I didn't want them to start getting some serious life gain payoffs, which we hadn't seen yet, but it seemed like that's what their deck was trying to do. Definitely don't want them to slam like the 1/1 that makes a 4/4 every turn. We got Ghoul Caller Gisa. Really neat. I wonder if this is the first Gisa card. With what is it? Gisa and Geralf? Geralf? One of my first exposures to legendary creatures actually in Magic. I believe they had a mythic in maybe Shadows over Innistrad, which was the first set that I started playing. Zombies are also by far my favorite tribe, so that's really neat. So, pay black, sacrifice another creature. Oh my. Okay, that's pretty sweet. That's a very, very powerful effect. Okay, so we got our 2 wins here, so I don't... Right? We just got our second one? Yeah, we just got the Gisa. Maybe that's like a visual bug or something. I think we're okay to resign. Yes. Okay. So let's roll into it again. That was definitely a lot of fun. So let's see what we roll. Enchanted, Above the Clouds, and Wizards. Pretty cool. I'm a sucker for flyers. Wow, that is a cool swamp. Holy moly. Alright, we're going for Dimir here. Wow, what is going on here? These are some neat cards. Alright, what do we got? Wall of Runes. Okay, that's very situational. It's a really cool zombie. Love the art. Ryan Barger. You figured it out, guy? Wow, Phyrexian Rager has some insane art. Reminds me a lot of Urgot from League of Legends, for any of you League of Legends fans. Wow, that is a really cool art. Interesting. So he's almost like the opposite of a card that was recently printed. For some reason, the name escapes me. 3 mana, 2/2. Whenever it attacks, you draw a card and lose a life. Nizithid? Sweet. So I'm sure some of you guys have already seen all these cards, but this is my first time playing with a lot of them. I like this card a lot. Wow, that's pretty sweet. Very cool. Another really cool art here. So it's Gravedigger with upside here. I don't know if Gravedigger is any card, so maybe it's not strictly better, but that is really, really neat. Sweet. Alright, who is this lady? Okay. Seems more like a commander card, but so I guess you're just trading permanents with your opponent. That doesn't seem necessarily like strictly upside. If you're against a control deck, well, I guess if they have permanents, they're probably pretty good permanents, but alright. Let's give it a shot here. This will be kind of interesting. I mean, it seemed like a lot of the black cards in this deck are kind of indexing towards your opponent having a lot of creatures, so if we're playing against a more controlling deck, some of those cards I think just won't do much, but not an exciting hand, but certainly keepable. Also, this swamp is just so cool. I was kind of into it. So I think we are incentivized to play an untapped land this turn. I'm sure whatever this is just going to get shocked, so maybe it was to play the white. Doesn't get shocked. Didn't look like our opponent had it either. Alright, well the good news is our opponent playing is red-green, so cards like the white tier are actually probably going to be pretty good. We'll offer the trade here. I'm more than happy to trade this for the Emulator. Emulator is way better than Sightmaster. We'll pass. We'll hold up Lofty Denial this turn. I don't really want to show him the white yet because I want him to discard a creature card with Spectre. It's a little annoying. It's not great, but we'll denial it because we really want to be using our mana every turn, I think, especially if we draw something for the Ghostlight, if we draw another land for the Ghostlight. Okay. So given the fact that our opponent didn't swing there, that kind of tells me he doesn't actually have a removal spell. I'm not really interested in playing the Ghostlight quite yet. I would much rather he doesn't kill it. Much rather he doesn't kill it with the Immolator. In other words, I want to bait him into using the Immolator here before pretty sure he's got a combat move here, but nope. Okay. That's pretty good. So unfortunately he only has 2 creatures. Unfortunately he only has 2 creatures in his graveyard, so we're not really going to be able to profitably deal with excuse me, we're not going to be able to kill it with the Decimer. Sorry, I was thinking there, needed to finish my thought. So I think we'll bounce the Immolator here. This is obviously not a very efficient play, nor is it a great usage for the Ghostlight. We could have held up Revelation, but I think we'll use that to kind of refill our hand. I will be willing to trade it for the Stag. We are obviously incentivized to get as many creatures into his graveyard as possible, so and I think that we have to just be willing to trade here. If he's got the combat trick, he's got it, but awesome. I'm not super excited about approaching the Immolator here, but if he really wanted to, he could have actually used it into the Brindle Shoat. It's actually a pretty cool card. It's kind of similar to Raptor Hatchling? I'm not actually sure what the card I'm thinking of is. Yeah, I think it was Raptor Hatchling. So we'll go ahead and use Rain here. Held on to the land last turn because in case I drew 3 good relevant spells, kind of wanted to make sure that I had some discard fodder. So our opponent now has 4 creatures in his graveyard. So honestly, the Exarch bringing back something like the zombie would be pretty neat. The zombie will be a 2-mana. What did I say? 3 or 4 creatures? 4 creatures. So the zombie will be a 2-mana 5/5. Spectre could probably be a better play, but we're going to go for the little bit of greedy play here. It also allows us to double spell this turn. Yeah. Yeah, Gruul Creatures is the kind of deck that the white really, really shines in. The matchup, excuse me. Okay, well that's pretty sweet. I think we're willing to trade here. Sure. Don't think our opponent would have any discard stuff, but we actually have, I think, probably some more discard outlets. We've already used Rain. I'm not actually 100% sure if we have any other discard outlets. I'm trying to think, but I don't actually remember what was in the deck. So this guy's pretty sweet. He gets stronger as the opponent has less cards in their hand, so he gets stronger the way the game goes. go ahead and let him get through here. It's a little risky, but was this an instant? Okay. Could have considered using that in response to like a blocker. I don't actually know that I would have blocked, but alright, looks like we got there, so that was probably a favorable matchup for us, I would imagine. Green-red creatures, we've got cards that incentivize both getting creatures into the graveyard and as well as helping us discard against a deck that doesn't have a lot of card advantage pieces. Wow, that is pretty cool. It's also an Eagle Knight riding, and I guess I would call that a Pegasus, right? Looks like a Pegasus with horns. Archon. We'll go with Archon as the card states already. Really neat, though. Okay. I really, really like, and there's a good chance that we don't get to keep all of our pieces on board here, but if we can get Glide Master to send Liliana's Reaver into the air, hit for 4 damage, as well as making them pitch a card and making a 2/2, I mean, that's just good magic. Even getting the Slate Street into the air is pretty sweet. I think I do like, I can't remember the name. It's not Thieves Guild Enforcer. I'm almost positive. That's a new card. I can't remember the name. I do like the other black common that I mentioned earlier. The 3 mana 2/2, that when it swings in, it draws a card and you lose a life. For some reason the name escapes me, but that card was incredible. It was a core set card, now that I think about it, because one of the synergies you could have in that set was to make it unblockable with Goblin and Smuggler. I want to say that Thieves Guild in there somewhere, but I could be wrong. So opponent played a red-blue land here, so that normally does indicate a pretty non-creature spell heavy deck, but for all I know he could have something like, you know, blue-red goblins. We actually had the opportunity to play a similar deck, so hopefully he's playing a fair amount of creatures. Okay, well, that's not what we wanted to see. Don't have prowess or anything right yet. No, that'd be too busted. Alright. Hopefully he's not playing shocks and stuff. Kind of surprised me if he wasn't, honestly, but we haven't actually seen shock yet. It's a pretty cool art. Definitely not planning on blocking here. If we draw another land, we can kind of curve out. This also kind of helps in the sense that there's a good chance the Reaver just doesn't survive after playing it. Ooh, interesting. So he's definitely more of a non-creature spell heavy deck. And given the fact that we would have to spend 3 mana to get the Ruffian in anyways, I think Rager's just better here. We also really want to hit our 4th land. Pass here. Rager can block. It's already done its job, more or less, so if we can get another card out of it, in other words, making our opponent use a combat trick to have one of these goblins survive, I think we're willing to do that. Alchemist is definitely going to start taxing us pretty heavily, taxing our life total, that is. This is actually one of my favorite cards, just in general. Shadows over Innistrad was it is the first set that I've ever purchased, and I'm 99% sure Thermal Alchemist was in Shadows or Eldritch Moon, one of those. And I had a really neat mono red burn deck that used Thermal Alchemist and the Young Chandra, which both of them, I believe, untap whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. And it was just a lot of fun. Opponent almost certainly has a combat trick here, maybe like a Sure Strike or something, but we need to protect our life total here as much as possible. That worked out really well. So unfortunately, opponent still doesn't have any creatures in his graveyard, so the white doesn't do much here. Also not 100% sure if any 2-power creature we play here survives. If he's got something like Shock, we're in trouble. But we're kind of already in trouble anyways. The Alchemist itself is a pretty good win condition in this case. It's really, really nice to see this card again, actually. I haven't seen it in a while. It's a nice surprise. Kind of wondering, actually, if there's potential for another mono red burn deck that utilizes Alchemist and Electrostatic Field. It's probably not as strong as the Embercleave variant, to be honest, but what it does do is it kind of allows you to have that reach damage without actually having to attack. Furnace Whelp. Okay, we're not actually all that worried about Furnace Whelp, assuming, of course, the Stinger survives, so. Alright. I'm not actually sure if this is the right play or not, but what I really want to do right now, it looks like our opponent is playing almost all. Are these both creatures? Wow, that's really unfortunate. Opponent was playing almost all non-creature, so I kind of imagined. I would get maybe like his last removal spell or something here. So, a bit of a whiff there. What it does do, if he doesn't draw another land, is it keeps him off this Lightning Shrieker for another turn. But Living Lightning is a really cool card. Sweet art. Sure. What instance of sorceries are we looking at here? Blind Blast is good, Dragon Father's fine. Okay. Unfortunately, the Alchemist here is just going to be a problem. No creatures yet in our opponent's graveyard. I do think we just need to need to provide some sort of pressure here. And if our opponent doesn't draw that land this turn, and unfortunately it might have been better to just play the Reaver here first. And that way we could have gotten it in the air. Of course, he probably just would have traded off with the Furnace Whelp, so... We're in a tough spot. The only other line of play, really, that I could have seen was playing something like the Revelation. Well, this is just bad news bears here. Card's going to go back into his library. We could have considered potentially jumping for the 3 extra life, and maybe that would have been a better play, but at this point, I kind of feel like we really just need to get on the board here. Unfortunately, we cannot both play the Tide Skimmer as well as get in with the Reaver, and I don't really want to get in with the Reaver unless I am going to get a token out of it. What is this one? Choose a color other than black. Okay, we'll just go with blue. It also comes in tap, so that is something else to consider. Alright, we're in trouble. We are definitely in trouble here. We'll get in with the Stinger. I doubt he actually blocks, but we absolutely have to put some form of pressure here. We're down to 7 turns with this Thermal Alchemist on the board, which has just been a huge pain. It's probably been a little bit of sloppy play here. We might have been incentivized to play the Reaver, put it in the air, get in, have a trade off with the Whelp, and then play the XR to just buy back the Reaver. But oh no, that is a little bit scary. I mean, we have to block here, right? I'm gonna do it like this because if he grabs Blind Blast, I don't want him to also get a creature for free with it. And if he grabs Dragon Fodder, we're like probably okay. That's pretty good. We really need a way to gain some life here. But we do also have a chance to draw into it here with Tide Skimmer. Don't actually know what our lifelink potential is with this deck. Maybe it's actually better to be a little bit more mana efficient. So Blind Blast also represents an extra Thermo Alchemist damage. I don't think we're dead this turn, but we're not far from it. And it's getting to the point now where I want to cast Rain of Revelation at instant speed almost, just so that I can get the Prowess trigger to put on some pressure to our opponent. Oh yeah, we are in trouble here. We'll probably throw the Ruffian or the... I don't believe it gets trampled, right? Yeah, I think we're okay with just... Well, I guess really we want to chump with... the Exarch, right? So first strike damage will happen... Yeah, this is fine. The reason why I did it that way is because if I draw something that helps me bring some creatures back from the graveyard, we may want to use that. Here I do think I'm going to main phase the Rain of Revelation for that Prowess trigger here. Okay, so Chupacabra actually helps quite a lot. In fact, it might just save us here. So Alchemist will put us to 3, but from that point moving forward, maybe he's got lightning strikes and stuff like that in his deck, but this does also kind of force his hand if that last card is a non-creature spell, because he wants to use it now and maximize the amount of damage he gets. Okay, so chooses not to. Don't know what that last card is. So that actually seems like a bad attack, right? Well, so if he chumps here, this also forces him to block because we can do 2, 4, 6, 9, 11 damage. So if I attack with everything, it is a lethal attack, it forces him to block. If he just blocks the Servant on the Ruffian, he can take... It's still lethal, so he would still have to double chump, but then he can just hold that. This might be wrong. I don't think it's right to attack with the 2 flyers. I think this is just greedy. We'll go for it. So this is not a lethal attack, so he doesn't actually have to block anything, but if he doesn't block something like the Reaver, we're just going to make the 2/2. Okay. Wow, and we got there. Good game. Probably some sloppy play there in the middle, but actually throughout the game, but you know, getting that Chupacabra there at the exact right time was just cherry on top. Okay, so kind of got like a loot tree here. So I believe that was our second win. So we can resign. Sure. So it looks like they just updated the store. Yeah, we'll do it later. Let's roll one more time. Let's see what we've got going here. Tree hugging. I am a sucker for trees. We're playing another Selesnya deck? Sure, why not? So what do we get here? Okay. I do really like Jolrio. I love Trusty Retriever. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty cool. Okay, definitely a win more deck, but seems like it's got pretty decent just kind of green-white value with counters and stuff like that. And something that's kind of neat for this deck that I feel like green-white decks don't get very often is green actually has a pretty strong draw 2 sub-theme, from what I can tell. Okay, and it does look like we can play Jolrail here on 2 into like a wall of blossoms, make some 2/2s. Yeah, don't think we can mulligan this hand. Has a pretty decent curve. We're also pretty happy to see Forest here. It looks like the opponent is also playing the tree deck. So hopefully he doesn't have Jolrail. Okay. He is, however, rampant, and he is playing black, which is kind of unfortunate. But I don't think there's a... I don't think that's enough incentive to not play the Jolrail here. Hopefully it survives. I'm kind of skeptical against a opponent playing black here. Interesting. Okay, well. Wall of Blossoms does a pretty nice job here. No reason to attack. Okay. Black Cat doesn't do much on this board state. So unfortunately, we don't actually have a way of drawing a second card this turn. So we'll just play our own Ambassador Oak. And pass. So I think the opponent rolled lands and Witchcraft. And if I'm not mistaken, Witchcraft was one of our... That's unfortunate. Was one of our first options as well. So Jolrail did kind of do its job. So what does this guy have? Vigilance. It's kind of neat. So what am I playing into here? Alchemist Gift, Skullduggery, probably Alchemist Gift now that I think about it. Skullduggery would pretty much bury me here. Okay. There's an interesting choice here. So the kind of unfortunate thing is when that black cat dies, there's a chance that I will discard this warden, which I really don't want to do. We'll play the warden now. It's pretty strong on this board, and what's actually kind of nice is there's a chance that we could just play out everything next turn, and maybe if we draw a land, we just pitch the land if he blocks with the black cat. But I'm glad we got the warden down. Oh my. We lost the canopy. It's unfortunate, not the end of the world though. Okay. So first things first, let's go ahead and get in with the warden. Unfortunate thing is if he has that alchemist gift, we just get death touch, but it doesn't look like he had it, so that's kind of nice. Alright, so we currently have access to 7 mana. Yeah, I think this is okay. Alright, this actually worked out pretty well. What this will now allow us to do is use Tempered Veteran to start putting 1/1 counters on other creatures. Both making them bigger in the immediate sense, but also Tempered Veteran can just start going off, making other creatures huge. It's slow. It is certainly slow and very grindy, but it is kind of free with the way the board is right now. So he opts not to attack here. I imagine whatever I put this counter on is going to get killed. I'm going to put it on the token here because the Visionary could potentially still... So that's pretty neat. The Visionary could potentially still have some value. Here, I think I am just going to get rid of his bat. It might not be great, but I feel like it kind of helps me be able to attack in with the warden. This turn, as well as the token here. If he wants to trade like Visionary and Snare Spinner for it, I think I'm okay with it. It's not great, don't get me wrong, but we'll do this. And if he's got the combat trick or the removal or whatever, you got it. It's fine. It's not great, again, but it's okay. So we're kind of happy that he used his removal. I'm sure he's got more. He very well could have more on that token instead of the veteran, because the veteran represents most of what our kind of plan is here for the future. So the longer that card stays out, the more likely we are to win. The good news is Warden of the Woods, honestly one of my favorite green cards printed in recent memory. If they've got targeted removal, which is what most of black has, that could potentially deal with it anyways. We'll draw 2 cards. Okay, don't know what Festering Newt or Bubbling Cauldron are, but it's interesting. So opponent is not interested in jumping at all here. It looks like we do have enough to double spell. I think we're just going to do this. Obviously, it opens us up to some removal, sure. I mean, our opponent is using removal on the cards that we're putting the 1/1 counters on, but he's not actually putting it on the 1/1 counter engine, so, you know, he hasn't used much removal throughout the game, so I kind of imagine he was going to have a fair amount of it. Okay, so what did we just play? He gained life this turn. Wow, that's pretty insane. Whew. Okay. We're in trouble. I think we're just... Okay. Oh, wow. I actually thought it was... I think well, obviously I misplayed, but I was kind of under the impression that it only did the -4/4 to the creature it fought with. Yeah, that was just a misplay. Well, at the very least, I guess we get a counter on the battalion, makes it a slightly better attacker. But the removal component here is going to be... I also don't know how many of these Festering Newts our opponent is playing. I'm not interested in trading off better creatures for the newts. Don't really know if we're in Bulwark Giant territory yet. We'll go with the Oak. But I guess we kind of want to be more mana efficient. Man. So, we're pretty fortunate here that our opponent doesn't actually have a way to gain life that I know of yet. If he has more of the newts in his deck, we'll see him now. I didn't want to swing into it. Okay. Uh-oh. Well, now we're just... Oh my. This is actually really neat. It's a very, very cool, very, very cool deck. Yep, I think I'm ready to call it. Our opponent can just gain 1,000,000 life here and make us sacrifice a creature every turn. Not only would it have required some pretty insane luck, but a win there would have also just taken an insane amount of time. I do really, really like that Witchcraft pack, though. It's pretty sweet. Golgari's still my favorite color combination, and that was pretty neat. You kind of have some card draw with the... get some card draw with the green there, and you also... Tan doesn't do much, but you also have the grindy elements and removal in black, and those Witches cards were pretty insane. Granted, he did drop 2 rares, so it kind of makes sense, but I really, really liked that synergy that he had going there with the, I think it was Bogart Witch. I'm not actually 100% sure what it was called. It's pretty sweet though. Alright, well, pretty slow start here, but hopefully the Visionary will last long enough to allow me to play the Warden here. Don't really want to play this Crusade into like a Crushing Canopy, but I also want to use my mana. Opponent also just hasn't done anything for 3 turns, so we're pretty lucky there. 4 turns now. Alright, well, we get to cast the Warden at least. Throw some 1/1 counters. Let's see if opponent has done nothing for 4 turns here, so not sure what. Wow, that was pretty sweet. Whew, he is cool. I like that. Alright, well, our opponent is tapped out here. So we're definitely going to bite the commander guy there. Opponent's got a grip though. Took a fat hit there. Really hoping we draw some more creatures here. Oh my. Yes, we will draw 2 cards, and that's pretty sweet. So we'll see if he's got like a sacrifice outlet here. Oh my. That's pretty sweet. That was pretty cool. Doesn't do much, but it was kind of neat to see. Yeah. So, some RNG definitely went our way that time. Opponent not really doing anything for the first 4 turns of the game, allowing a Visionary to survive long enough to put out the Warden a turn early. That's pretty difficult for a Gruul deck to deal with. That's kind of neat. It's expensive though. Maybe it's a good commander card or something, but don't think it's going to do much in Historic. Could be wrong. Could be kind of a neat fling target. I think this is a mulligan. We just don't do anything for the first 3 turns of the game. This isn't much better, but I guess at least we have that play on turn 3. Well, it just got a lot better. We can find a way to draw some cards. It's a pretty cool plains. So, opponent might be playing some sort of flying deck. Okay. We'll get in with the battalion if he wants to try to make a double block. It's not like a super great deal. We kind of just traded Canopy against a flying deck for Concordia Pegasus, which was probably just a misplay to be honest, but we'll be okay. Let's get in with the battalion here. If he's got a combat trick, we'll get it out of his hand. Sure. Play the Oath here. If we can find a way to draw some cards, we'll be in a pretty good position. So opponent finds a second color finally. So now we've got a game on our hands, and it's a good one. Okay. Gotcha. So we're gonna take this one. We're just going to tough. So this is not great. I doubt he blocks. Two for one ourselves there, but we kind of needed to get rid of Bosri's Lieutenant. That thing was going to make blocking the 3/3 a nightmare anyways. And maybe this wasn't the right play, but I certainly wanted to get rid of it before he manages to put more 1/1 counters on things. Okay, well, it's kind of weirdly worked out in my favor by a fair amount here. Yep. Not really winning the race here, but that's tough. Him getting the Boss's Lieutenant is going to be really difficult to deal with. I imagine he probably just replays it. Oh my. We are in trouble, folks. We want to get rid of the Bossers there before blocking. It might honestly just be too late anyways. I think it is just a little bit too late, but there's just no way we can profitably block at all while that card was on the battlefield. Oh my. It's a pretty sweet card. We'll see if this guy makes a difference. If he's got removal, we're just dunzo. Yeah, that's fair. Good game. That was a tough curve out there from our opponent. But Austria's Lieutenant just put the hurt on us. Alright, sort of back. Okay. We can roll with this. Could be kind of neat to use Feet and Lightwalker here. Pull out one of his creatures as well as giving our creature flying. Wow, the Lavamancer's back? I forgot about that. That's pretty sweet. So it looks like our opponent is like on a red or something. Okay. Well, Lightwalker might not survive this turn, but interesting. So I think this turn we want to play our tap land and hope that he doesn't have a combat trick. Alternatively, what we could have done is play... Yeesh. So... Alternatively, we could have also played Explorer last turn and just have access to 5 mana this upcoming turn. But I kind of want to make the... There's just no way this Feat of Resistance works out for us, right? Either way, maybe it was the wrong play to make, but it is what we were going for. We're probably just going to get blown out here, but it seems a little bit tough to... How did he have 2 cards in his graveyard? What were the 2 cards? Oh, I forgot he pitched a card. Alright. Tough. We are playing pretty sloppy here. We need to get a grip. Tough. Not the end of the world, honestly. Here's a good blocker. If we draw a land, the Bulwark Giant's going to do a really nice job of gaining us life, which is almost like card advantage against mono red. That throw play was pretty boneheaded there. I forgot that he was going to pitch a card to the throw, giving him the second card in the graveyard. Well, what does this do? 1 damage? Well, we kind of need to just hopefully trade. Sure. What did that do? Alright, well, honestly, of all the possibilities there, that was probably one of the better ones. The quote combat trick in that case was... Oh my, here we go. We are in trouble. This is not good. The thing is right now that Molten Ravager is like, it represents a removal spell for our patron here, because does that vigilance? No. We have to block it, and that's the game.
They will fight for freedom everywhere.
Good game, opponent. So that was a tough loss there, but we're at about an hour and a half already on this video, so I'm going to call it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe if you would, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.